Hey everybody, if you've ever stared at a rack of PTZ cameras online and thought, maybe this is the right gear, maybe it's just a fancy way to waste money, you're not alone. I get that hesitation. You want a system that actually delivers the shots you need without turning your studio into a tech maze, and you're looking for proof that the investment pays off for your specific setup. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first started digging into the Tenveo 4K PTZ camera and controller bundle, I treated it like a mini production house. 312 optical zoom cameras, a 5-inch joystick controller, a 4K HDMI/SDI switcher, and an 8-port PO hub all in one box. The promise is simple. You get a fully networked PTZ rig that can track subjects, switch between angles, and output pristine 4K video without hiring an operator for each camera. So does it live up to that promise? Let's break it down the way a real-world user would think about it. First, the cameras themselves. The VL12U units shoot true 4K UHD at 60 frames per second over HDMI, SDI, and NDI, which means you can feed a live stream, a broadcast deck, or a simple OBS setup with equal ease. The 12 optical zoom is generous enough to capture a speaker on a stage from the back of a medium-sized hall, yet still tight enough for a product close-up when you push the joystick. What really sets them apart is the AI tracking mode. You point the camera at a person, press a button, and the built-in algorithm keeps the subject in the frame even as they walk across the stage. In my tests at a community church, the tracking held a steady lock on a moving speaker most of the time, only slipping when the lighting dropped below about 50 lux. Low-light performance is where the bundle shows its limits. The sensor is decent for indoor use, but you'll notice a soft grain when you try to shoot a dimly lit interview without adding any extra light. The autofocus is reliable in bright conditions, but in the same low-light scenario the focus can hunt for a second or two before settling, which is something a live production can't always afford. If you're planning to film in a venue that can't be fully lit, you'll probably want to add a couple of modest LEDs to keep the cameras in their sweet spot. Ease of use is a mixed bag. The KB200 Max joystick controller feels solid, with a clear LCD readout and dedicated buttons for zoom, focus, and the AI tracking toggle. For someone who's comfortable moving a joystick, you get pixel-perfect framing without ever touching the camera itself. The learning curve comes from the network side. All three cameras need to be powered over PO, which the included 8-port switch handles nicely, but you still have to assign static IPs or set up a DHCP reservation to keep everything stable. If you've never dealt with NDI or IP video before, you'll spend a few hours in the Tenveo web UI configuring streams. But once you get past that, the workflow is surprisingly smooth. The 4K HDMI/SDI switcher, PC500, is another highlight. It lets you toggle between the three cameras with a press of a foot pedal, and it supports picture-in-picture if you want a split-screen view for a multi-speaker panel. The switcher runs at a full 60 frames per second, so you don't get the choppy transitions you sometimes see on cheaper models. The downside is that the menu system is layered. You have to dive into advanced settings to enable the picture-in-picture mode, which isn't obvious at first glance. A quick glance at the on-screen help overlay gets you there, but it does add a few extra clicks during a live show. Now, who should actually consider buying this bundle? If you're running a small studio, a house of worship, or a remote learning classroom that needs 3 camera angles without hiring a crew, this kit checks a lot of boxes. The AI tracking means you can set a camera on a speaker, step away, and still have a polished shot. The PO switch eliminates the need for separate power adapters, which keeps cable clutter down and makes mounting the cameras on ceiling trusses a tidy job. And because the switcher handles both HDMI and SDI, you can feed the signal to a traditional broadcast deck or a modern streaming PC without any extra converters. On the other hand, if you're a solo content creator who mainly does talking head videos from a desk, this is overkill. You'll be paying for 3 cameras you'll rarely use simultaneously, plus a joystick you'll probably never need. The lack of a built-in battery also means you're tied to power outlets, not ideal for on-the-go vloggers or field shooters. For those who need pure portability, a single handheld 4K camcorder or a compact mirrorless with a good gimbal will be cheaper and lighter. Practical strengths summed up: solid 4K video quality, reliable 12 optical zoom, AI tracking that works well in well-lit environments, a sturdy joystick that gives you tactile control, and a switcher that can handle multiple inputs without dropping frames.